everyone, I've gotten a couple questions about Montessori for infants and toddlers and different curriculums you can use or resources, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the curriculum that I have chosen to use. This is by My Montessori House, and I will leave their website below. They actually have these curriculum binders for each of the different age groups. So this is infants and young toddlers, birth through 18 months. And then they have another one for older toddlers, and they have preschool and kindergarten, and I think their last one is first grade. I have all of them up until kindergarten. So that is my plan, to kind of use Montessori for Maddie from birth through kindergarten, and then we'll kind of reevaluate at that point. I really like that they break it down into the specific age groups. It makes it just more applicable, and I think that's just a really good way to approach it. This is, if you're familiar with Montessori, the particular infants and toddler one isn't necessarily a lot of brand new information. A lot of it can be found in other books or online, but I liked how she really set it up. It is basic, but it goes through everything, like everything. It talks about the bedroom, preparing safety, thinking about child sizing, clothing, how to, dealing with television and computers. And then it just kind of talks about from birth, the path of development for the first few months, schedule, sleeping, crying, mobiles to make, like it goes through everything, and it's just really awesome. Once you get to more of the toddler side, she goes into more of the Montessori toys that you can either make or buy, and then going on to the beginner life skills and also language and vocabulary. So I don't know if you can see this or not, but it just kind of, it's just, typed down on pages and just goes through. There's some pictures. It talks about what you can include in a baby's room, things to look for when you're preparing a safe environment. With Montessori, there's a big emphasis on child-sized things, like a child-sized chair and child-sized table, and letting them do their own things, their independence. We don't 100% follow that. We do feed Maddie in a high chair, and we didn't use like the Moses basket from birth, but we do use the floor bed now. But you kind of take what interests you and what works for your family and go from there. I really like this development timeline. It goes in about 3-month increments, talks about their movement, their activities, and what they're doing with their hands. It's really good to know what they can be doing. The goal really is self-sufficiency and independence and autonomy, which I think it can be overdone. You obviously don't want your young child to be completely independent and making them do things themselves. If they want to do it themselves, that's fine. But there is a balance that the parent or the teacher has to kind of come up with. Something I really love about Montessori is how it really asks for respect for the child. When it talks about scheduling and everything, it says, you present an activity to the child, and then you kind of just sit back and watch. Just let them explore and play with it and figure it out. You can show them, when you present it, usually show them how to do it, and then you let them explore. And it's giving them respect and the time to really concentrate and focus and learn. A lot of times we're so into doing things for them and helping them get things done that we don't actually let them do it themselves. And so that's something that I really liked about Montessori. And then one of the things she does is puts in the exercises, so the actual presentations is what they call them, the teaching part of Montessori, if you will. But obviously when you're working with infants and toddlers, it's not like you're necessarily presenting an activity like you are with an older child, but she starts with literally with infants. You're presenting them how to be mobile. You're lying on the floor with them and looking at a mobile, or showing them how to stand up or crawl and all this stuff. And so it's really kind of a different perspective than what you normally would hear from a Western type educator, or the way that we usually do things. And it has questions, and you write down, what did the child do with this activity, the day, progress, all that kind of stuff, just to keep track of things, which is really neat. It kind of makes it kind of a workbook that you can use to lesson plan, if you will, but to really kind of keep track of their development. It talks about all the different mobiles, the rattles, tummy time, things to do with tummy time, books, learning to roll over. Talks about food and weaning, some sample recipes for toddlers, potty training. And I think that this is worth it, just because while you could find a lot of this information online, I loved that it was all right here and fairly inexpensive as well. So I don't have to go searching for all the different things. It's all right here: pouring, carrying, washing, scrubbing. I can just flip through right here and it's all set out for me. This particular one is 96 pages, so it's one of the shorter ones because it doesn't have as many teaching activities, obviously. I think it's highly well worth it. I definitely recommend it. Like I said, if you are familiar with Montessori, you may not need it, but for me, even though I'd read some before, I really wanted the convenience of the set out curriculum instead of trying to make my own, because I barely have time to even do any of this, much less create my own curriculum. The one downside I would say is that it is a little simplified. When I was researching it, it said that it kind of had directions to make your own things, because Montessori toys are very expensive and there are a lot of them that they quickly go through, especially with the activity type ones. And I didn't find that so much in this one. I'm not sure if that's coming up in later ones, but there really weren't a lot of DIY instructions, which was kind of a bummer. But some of them have pictures or explanations that I could then take, and like I made a box, a DIY permanent box up there out of cardboard, just based on a picture in here. So it is possible to make your own things, but this doesn't really offer a lot of how to do that. So that was one downside that I was really hoping for in this. So that's what I think of the My Montessori House Infant and Toddler Curriculum. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you have any Montessori resources or curriculums that you love, please leave those in the comments below. I would love to check them out. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.